Welcome to another story of Cheating Tales Lab. We're grateful for every single one of you who's joined us today. We've got an interesting story that we hope will keep you hooked. Let's start. The Chicago Fire Department's Tactical Rescue Unit had just completed a grueling 24-hour shift. Roderick Conway's muscles ached from rappelling down a 12-story building to save a maintenance worker trapped on a malfunctioning window washing platform. But the satisfaction of a successful rescue made the exhaustion worthwhile. Hell of a save today, Conway. Captain Reynolds clapped his shoulder. Take tomorrow off. You've earned it. Rod hadn't planned to be home on a Tuesday afternoon. His wife Candace had her usual intense training session scheduled, something she never shut up about lately. The house felt unusually quiet as he dropped his gear bag by the door. A notification chimed from the kitchen counter. Candace's iPad lit up, displaying a message preview that stopped Rod's breath cold. My husband's too small to satisfy me. Can't wait for our private session. The sender's name glowed accusingly. Zach Grimes, her personal trainer. Rod stood motionless, years of crisis response training keeping his hands steady as he picked up the tablet. They shared an Apple ID, Candace's idea 6 months ago, claiming it would help them stay connected during his long shifts. The irony twisted in his gut like a knife. More messages popped up in rapid succession. You're so tight from our last workout. Need another deep tissue massage? That new pose you showed me in the private training room. Can't stop thinking about it. Your husband's probably sleeping while we're getting hot and sweaty. Rod's jaw clenched. All those nights Candace had mocked his old man bedtime, knowing full well his rescue shifts left him exhausted. He defended her to his team when she missed awards ceremonies and department functions, claiming she was dedicated to her fitness goals. His phone buzzed, his brother Marshall's name lighting up the screen. Rod, got a minute? It's about Mom's medical bills. Rod moved to his home office, closing the door quietly. What's wrong? The specialist wants to try a new treatment protocol. Insurance is fighting it. Marshall's voice carried the weight of concern. Have you talked to Candace about helping? I know you mentioned she'd promised. She's been busy with competition prep. The words tasted bitter now. Rod had been covering their mother's mounting expenses alone, despite Candace's repeated promises to contribute from her fitness business income. That's got to be going well at least, Marshall said carefully. Mom mentioned seeing her post with that trainer. Zach something? Grimes. Rod's voice remained neutral through years of practice handling crisis situations. I should check our accounts, see what we can do for Mom. After hanging up, Rod logged into their joint banking portal. The truth hit harder than any backdraft he'd ever faced. Their savings account, decimated. His inheritance from Dad, specifically set aside for Mom's treatment, had been systematically drained through transfers to Personal Training Solutions LLC, Zach's private company. Thousands of dollars, gone without discussion or consent. Rod downloaded the statements, noting the pattern. The transfers increased as Candace spent more time at the gym, coinciding with her sudden interest in fitness competition. His phone buzzed again. Willard James, his closest friend on the rescue team. Can you swing by the station? Need your eyes on something. 20 minutes later, Rod sat in Will's truck in the station parking lot, watching his friend struggle to find words. Look, brother, there's no easy way. We'll grip the steering wheel. Bridget's been keeping something from me, about Candace. Rod waited, letting years of tactical patience guide his response. They work out at the same time slot, Will continued. Her and Zach. Bridget says. They're not exactly subtle. Tell me, the girls' nights twice a week? They're cover for meetings at his private studio. Will couldn't meet his eyes. Everyone at the station knows. We didn't know how to tell you. Rod absorbed this, remembering all the times Candace had rushed out dressed to kill, claiming female bonding time with Bridget and the other firefighters' wives. How long? At least 6 months. Since she started serious training for competition. Will finally looked at him. What are you going to do? Rod's expression remained composed, but his eyes held the same focus his team recognized from their most dangerous rescues. First, I'm going to make a call. Jillian Martinez answered on the second ring. Rod had pulled her from a high-rise fire 2 years ago, rappelling down 60 stories with her clinging to his back after her office's stairwell collapsed. Roderick Conway, Her voice warmed with recognition. To what do I owe the pleasure? Need your professional services, Jill? The discreet kind. As a private investigator specializing in infidelity cases, Jillian worked quickly. Within days, she'd uncovered Zach's pattern, seducing wealthy clients' wives, recording encounters for potential blackmail. 3 divorces in the past 2 years had ended with quiet settlements after the husbands received anonymous video clips. He's smart, Jillian reported, showing Rod surveillance photos. Private training room has hidden cameras. Gets them hooked on steroids, creates dependency. When they're in deep, he suggests recording their progress for motivation. Any of the videos surface publicly? Never. He keeps them as insurance, threatens to send them to family members or employers if the women don't pay up after their husbands find out. Rod studied the photos, Zach leading Candace into his private studio, his hand inappropriately low on her back. Timestamps showed late-night sessions when Rod was supposed to be on shift. He's never faced someone like you, though, Jillian added. Most of his targets' husbands are executives, desk jockeys, not tactical rescue specialists who rappel down burning buildings for a living. Rod's smile didn't reach his eyes. What's his usual rate for these private sessions? $500 an hour, off the books. Why? Because we're going to make him an offer he can't refuse. The next day, an anonymous email reached Zach's private account, double his rate for comprehensive documentation of sessions with Candace Conway. Every video, every text, every encounter. Zach's response came within minutes. When do we start? Rod closed his laptop, his tactical mind already mapping out the next phases. Like any rescue operation, timing and precision would be everything. In their bedroom, Candace's competition bikinis hung like trophies, price tags still attached. On her nightstand, a framed photo from their wedding day showed a different woman, softer, genuine, looking at Rod with real love. He placed the frame face down. His phone chimed with a text from Marshall. Mom's insurance denied the treatment. Need to talk options. Rod typed back. I'll handle it. You focus on the investigation. Another message popped up, Jillian confirming Zach had taken the bait. Everything was falling into place. Like the fires he fought, Rod knew this situation would get hotter before it was contained. But he'd never backed down from a blaze, and he wasn't about to start now. The next morning, he left for his shift as usual. Candace barely looked up from her protein shake and Instagram posts. Don't wait up, she called out. Got a late training session. Wouldn't dream of it, Rod replied, his voice neutral. Let her think he was still the trusting husband, too exhausted from saving lives to notice her betrayal. Soon enough, she'd learn what his rescue team already knew. Roderick Conway never left anyone behind in a fire, but he also never forgot who started the blaze. The emergency alert pierced through Chicago's summer heat at 3 a.m. A massive forest fire threatened the western county line, already consuming thousands of acres. Rod Conway's tactical rescue team deployed immediately, their heavy gear offering little protection against the inferno's intensity. Team 1, take the North Quadrant, Rod commanded through his radio. Priority is the residential evacuation. Team 2, establish the fire break at Marker 7. Smoke turned the dawn sky apocalyptic orange. Rod coordinated with multiple agencies, directing helicopters and ground teams while personally leading the most dangerous rescues. A family trapped in a remote cabin. An elderly couple refusing to leave their home of 50 years. Each successful evacuation strengthened his team's resolve. His phone buzzed, Candace's familiar ringtone. Rod ignored it, focusing on the crisis map spread across his mobile command center. Sir, a young firefighter approached. Your wife keeps calling the station. Says it's urgent. Rod checked his messages. Where are you? My post-routine assessment is today. You promised to film my progress. This fire better be worth missing my competition prep. The last message made his jaw clench. He typed back, evacuating families. Try to contain your disappointment. Hours later, covered in soot and sweat, Rod received another call, this one from his mother's doctor. Mr. Conway, we need to discuss treatment options. The standard protocol isn't working, but there's an experimental program showing promising results. What's the cost? Insurance won't cover it. We're looking at roughly $60,000. Rod thought of the inheritance money Candace had drained for her training. "I'll figure it out, Doc. Just save the spot." When he finally returned home 30 hours later, Candace was preening in front of their bedroom mirror, admiring her competition spray tan. "You missed everything," she snapped. "Zach says my poses lack confidence because my husband can't bother supporting me." "Supporting you?" Rod's voice carried the smoke of 100 burning acres. "Like you're supporting Mom's treatment?" "Oh God, not this again." Candace rolled her eyes. "Your mother's illness is just an excuse to hold me back. You're jealous because I'm finally doing something for myself." "Doing someone, you mean?" Her face flickered with momentary panic before settling into practiced indignation. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Nothing." Rod headed for the shower. "Enjoy your night at the gym." She didn't come home that night. Rod sat in his home office, laptop open to an email from Zach. The subject line read, "Training Documentation, Session 1. The video played in stark high definition. Candace and Zach in the private training room, her wedding ring glinting under fluorescent lights as she wrapped herself around her trainer. Their conversation burned worse than any fire. "Your husband's probably out playing hero again." Zach's voice dripped contempt. "Please," Candace laughed. "He can barely satisfy me in bed." "You're twice the man he is." Rod closed the laptop, his tactical mind already processing this new intelligence. The next morning brought fresh ammunition. "You won't believe this," Candace announced over breakfast, practically vibrating with excitement. "I qualified for my first competition. We're having my birthday party here next weekend. A little victory celebration. Your birthday's not for 3 weeks. So? The timing's perfect. I've invited everyone from the gym." She scrolled through her phone. "Bridget's handling the guest list. You don't mind funding it, right? Since you missed all my prep sessions." Rod studied his wife's enhanced features, noting the subtle signs of steroid use Jillian had warned him about. "Whatever makes you happy, honey." The week that followed tested every ounce of Rod's tactical patience. His team received a commendation for their handling of the forest fire, a ceremony Candace skipped, claiming she needed to finalize party details. That night, another email from Zach arrived. More footage, more explicit than the last. But it was the attached text messages that sealed their fate. "Candace, after I win the competition, I'm leaving him." Zach, "About time, baby. What about the house?" Candace, "Prenup only kicks in after 5 years. 2 more months and half of everything is mine." Rod forwarded everything to his lawyer, then called Marshall. "Need a favor, brother. Background check on everyone attending this party." The results painted an interesting picture. Most of the guest list consisted of Zach's previous clients, wives who'd fallen for his routine. Bridget, Lorraine, others who smirked behind their husbands' backs while enabling Candace's affair. But the most disturbing revelation came from Marshall himself. During their usual Sunday family dinner, he pulled Rod aside. "There's something you need to see." Marshall handed over his phone. "She tried this last month. I shut it down, but..." The messages made Rod's blood boil. "Your brother doesn't have to know. What happens in the family stays in the family." Winky face. "You're the better Conway anyway." She said I wouldn't mind keeping it in the family. Marshall's disgust was palpable. "I wanted to tell you sooner, but she threatened to tell Karen about that case we worked undercover." Rod placed a hand on his brother's shoulder. "You're telling me now. That's what matters." At the gym, Candace and Zach had grown bolder. They barely tried hiding their relationship, confident in Rod's perceived weakness. During her training sessions, they openly discussed their future plans, thinking no one would dare tell the pathetic husband. But Rod wasn't idle. Each day brought new evidence, meticulously organized and documented. His mother's successful response to the experimental treatment, which he'd funded by selling his prized motorcycle, gave him the final push needed for what came next. The day before the party, Rod visited the station. "Need some AV help tomorrow," he told his team. "Consider it a training exercise in exposure and containment." Will studied his friend's expression. "You sure about this?" "Some fires need to burn," Rod replied. "Just be ready with the metaphorical hoses." He spent that night in his office, finalizing preparations. Candace's laughter drifted up from the kitchen where she planned the party layout with Bridget, and the other enablers. It's perfect, he heard her say. Everyone who matters will be there to see it. Rod smiled grimly at his computer screen. She had no idea how right she was. The day of Candace's birthday party dawned bright and hot, matching the anticipation burning in Rod Conway's chest. He watched from their bedroom window as the catering van arrived, followed by Zach's polished Mercedes pulling into their driveway far too comfortably. Rod. Candace's voice carried up the stairs. The projection system guys are here. Make yourself useful and show them where to set up. He smiled, knowing she'd interpret it as submission rather than satisfaction. The technical team, actually specialists from his tactical unit, began installing the birthday gift with practiced efficiency. Latest model, Rod explained as Candace breezed through. Perfect for showing those fitness videos you love so much. She barely acknowledged him, too busy texting on her phone. Her red dress left little to imagination. The same one she'd bought for competition prep according to their credit card statement. The house filled quickly with Candace's chosen audience. Gym rats in tight clothes, enabling wives who'd covered for her affairs, a few uncomfortable firefighters who'd come out of loyalty to Rod. Marshall arrived with 2 uniformed officers he introduced as friends from the precinct. Everything ready? Marshall muttered, accepting a drink. Rod nodded slightly. Jillian's outside with the full documentation. Officers have everything they need? Just waiting for your signal. Zach worked the room like he owned it, his trainer's physique on display in a shirt 2 sizes too small. He kept a calculated distance from Candace, but their glances told the story to anyone paying attention. Such a power couple, Bridget gushed to the other wives. The way he pushes her to be her best. Unlike some husbands, Lorraine added with a pointed look at Rod. He busied himself being the perfect host, taking coats, refreshing drinks, adjusting the projection system with apparent incompetence that made Candace roll her eyes. At least try not to embarrass me, she hissed, adjusting her dress. These people respect success. Oh, I know exactly what they respect, Rod replied mildly. Time for your big announcement? Candace grabbed a champagne glass, tapping it for attention. The room quieted as she took center stage, Zach hovering nearby with a proprietary smile. Thank you all for celebrating with me today, she beamed. As you know, I recently qualified for my first fitness competition. Appreciative murmurs from the crowd. I couldn't have done it without my amazing trainer, Zach. He showed me what I was capable of. The double meaning hung thick in the air. A few wives giggled. And yes, she added with false graciousness, even Rod finally made himself useful by funding my training. I guess even firefighters can support real achievement sometimes. Rod moved to the laptop, connected to the projection system. Speaking of support, he said clearly, I have a special tribute to my wife's dedication. The lights dimmed. The giant screen lit up with crisp high-definition footage from the gym's private training room. Candace smiled, expecting to see her posed routines. Her smile froze as the first intimate scene played. Then another. And another. What are you doing? She whispered, color draining from her face. The footage continued. Candace and Zach planning their future, mocking Rod, discussing how they'd spend his money after the divorce. Then came Zach's recorded confession. Sorry, babe, someone paid double to record everything. Business is business. The room had gone deathly silent. Candace stood rigid, the cake knife gripped white-knuckled in her hand. Zach made a break for the door but found Marshall and his friends blocking the way. The only thing small here is your future net worth, Rod announced, nodding to his lawyer who stepped forward with divorce papers. Happy birthday, honey. You can't prove anything, Candace sputtered. I'll say you harassed me, tracked me illegally. Actually, Jillian spoke up from the doorway. Everything was obtained legally through licensed investigation. I have sworn statements from gym employees, credit card records, bank transfers. She patted a thick folder. Plus evidence of Mr. Grimes' other extortion attempts. Zach's arrogance crumbled. Look, Conway, we can work something out. Officers, Marshall cut in. I believe you have some questions about certain controlled substances found in Mr. Grimes' private training room? The next hours passed in a blur of police statements and shocked departures. The enabling wives slunk away, their own husbands' expressions promising future conversations. Bridget couldn't meet Will's eyes as he escorted her out. 6 months later, Rod sat in his dress uniform at the Chicago Fire Department's awards ceremony. His promotion to Chief of Tactical Rescue had made headlines, partly due to his handling of the forest fire crisis, partly due to the scandal's public aftermath. His mother beamed from the front row, fully recovered thanks to the experimental treatment. Next to her sat Sophia Chun, the burn unit surgeon who'd worked with his team during the fire. Their relationship had grown slowly, naturally, built on mutual respect rather than superficial attraction. Candace's attempts at retaliation had backfired spectacularly. Her claims of harassment crumbled when Jillian presented the complete investigation. Zach, facing multiple lawsuits from other clients' husbands, had turned on her completely, providing evidence of steroid use that got her banned from competitions. The last Rod heard, she was working at a small-town gym 3 states away, her dreams of fitness fame shattered. Zach had it even worse. He'd lost his training certification and now cleaned pools for a living. His client list reduced to actual swimming pools rather than wealthy wives. The annual fundraiser for firefighters' families brought everything full circle. Rod watched Bridget and other former enablers make awkward excuses to leave early, unable to face the consequences of their choices. His mother squeezed his hand, wisdom earned through hardship evident in her eyes. Some fires need to burn, son. They clear the way for new growth. Rod looked at Sophia, who'd stood by him through the ugliest parts of the divorce, understanding his need for justice rather than simple revenge. She'd seen past the scandal to the man beneath, just as he'd seen past her professional exterior to the warmth within. Sometimes he agreed, raising his glass to their future. The smallest spark lights the biggest fire. The truth of it echoed through the gathering. Everyone who had enabled, denied, or participated in Candace's betrayal had reaped the consequences. But Rod had emerged stronger, his life rebuilt on a foundation of honesty rather than lies. In the end, that made all the difference. Epilogue 1 year later. The small-town gym in Cedar Rapids, Iowa bore little resemblance to the sleek Chicago fitness center where Candace Conway had once reigned as queen. Now simply Candace Peters again. She wiped down the basic equipment for minimum wage, her designer workout gear replaced by generic cotton uniforms. Ms. Peters, her 20-something manager, called out. The bathrooms need cleaning. She gripped the cleaning spray bottle, knuckles white. A year ago, she'd been preparing for her fitness competition debut. Now, she couldn't even get a job as a personal trainer, her certification permanently revoked after the steroid scandal. The drug test results Zach had provided showed years of sustained use, destroying any chance of appeal. Her phone, no longer the latest iPhone but a basic prepaid model, showed another rejected job application. No respectable gym would touch her. The scandal had gone viral in fitness circles, her name becoming synonymous with cautionary tales about trainer-client relationships. The 300-square-foot studio apartment she now called home was a far cry from the luxury house she'd shared with Rod. The divorce settlement had been brutal, their prenup voided by evidence of her infidelity and financial misconduct. She'd lost everything, including her carefully cultivated social media following of aspiring fitness models. Across town at the municipal pool, Zach Grimes scrubbed algae from concrete walls. The former personal trainer's muscled physique had softened, his designer stubble now just unkempt. Pool cleaning paid barely enough to cover child support for the kid he'd never known about, until one of his former clients' paternity tests hit the tabloids. "Hey, steroid man," teenagers sometimes shouted from the fence. "Want to sell us some juice?" The multiple lawsuits from other betrayed husbands had stripped him of everything. His training certification, revoked. His client list, exposed. His carefully constructed image as a professional athlete-turned-trainer, shattered by evidence of his own steroid use and dealing. His phone lit up with another threatening message from a former client's husband. They kept finding him, no matter how many times he changed his number. The videos he'd recorded for blackmail had become his own undoing. Every client, a potential lawsuit waiting to happen. Back in Chicago, Rod Conway's tactical rescue unit had expanded its jurisdiction. As chief, he'd implemented new training protocols that were being adopted by departments across the country. The promotion had come with a corner office overlooking the city he protected, but he still spent most of his time in the field with his team. "Chief," his secretary announced, "Dr. Chan is here for lunch." Sophia Chin entered, her surgeon's confidence matching his own calm authority. Their relationship had grown naturally after meeting during the forest fire crisis, built on mutual respect and understanding. She'd supported him through the divorce without trying to rush his healing, earning the approval of both his team and his mother. "Ready for the fundraiser tonight?" she asked, settling into the visitor's chair. "Almost. Just waiting on final numbers from Rhonda." Rhonda Martinez, his former station administrator, had been promoted to department communications director. Her efficiency in handling media during the scandal had revealed talents wasted on basic paperwork. Marshall called. Sophia mentioned. "Says Candace tried contacting your mother again." Rod's expression hardened slightly. His mother, fully recovered thanks to the experimental treatment, had received several desperate messages from his ex-wife seeking reconciliation. Each one returned unopened. "Mom's too busy enjoying her cruise," he replied. The treatment worked better than anyone expected. Across town, Willard James led a training session for new recruits. His divorce from Bridget had been quieter than Rod's public exposure, but no less final. The Enabler Wives network had crumbled, each marriage facing its own reckoning. Bridget worked as a receptionist now, her social circle reduced to other divorced enablers who gathered for wine nights to bemoan their fate. Their attempts to rewrite history, casting themselves as victims of Zach's manipulation, found little sympathy in Chicago's social circles. Jillian Martinez's private investigation firm had flourished after the case. The Conway method became her trademark, methodical documentation of infidelity combined with financial forensics. She'd hired 2 more investigators just to handle cases from Rod's firefighting community, where other wives had followed Candace's example with different trainers. The annual Firefighters Family Foundation Gala proved how much had changed. Rod and Sophia arrived to find his team and their legitimate spouses already gathered. The Enabler wives who'd once dominated these events were conspicuously absent, their husbands now accompanied by new partners or proudly attending solo. "Quite a difference," Marshall observed, joining them at the bar. His own career had advanced, the scandal's investigation leading to broader cases of fraud in the fitness industry. "Remember last year's gala?" Rod did. It had been shortly after the divorce, when Chicago society was still buzzing with details of Candace's downfall. She tried attending with her lawyer, hoping to salvage some social connections. The silent rejection had been absolute. "Saw her Facebook post," Marshall continued. "Still claiming she'll make a comeback once the lies are exposed." "How's that working out?" Sophia asked dryly. "About as well as Zach's new career. Guess pool cleaning doesn't have the same cachet as personal training." The latest update had Zach living in his mother's basement in Milwaukee, his attempt at opening a supplement shop shut down by multiple violations. His new social media profile listed him as a lifestyle coach, but his only followers were bots and other disgraced trainers. Candace's own attempts at reinvention had failed spectacularly. Her tell-all blog about being victimized by the fitness industry attracted only trolls sharing screenshots from Zach's videos. Her appeals for crowdfunding legal fees were flagged as fraudulent. Even her attempt to teach yoga at a senior center ended when someone recognized her from the scandal. The Enabler wives faced their own consequences. Lorraine's husband had run for local office. The scandal cost him the election. Regina's interior design business lost its high-end clients. Bridget's attempt to become a social media influencer collected more mockery than followers. "Remember that saying about karma?" We'll join their conversation. "Never thought I'd see it play out so perfectly." Rod smiled, watching Sophia chat with his mother. The elegant surgeon had no interest in fitness competitions or social media followers. Her confidence came from saving lives, her beauty enhanced by genuine compassion. Some fires, his mother had told him, burn away the dead would so new growth can flourish. The wisdom of it echoed through every aspect of his rebuilt life. His career soared higher than ever, his tactical unit's reputation drawing recruiters from across the country. His relationship with Sophia deepened naturally, their shared values creating a partnership stronger than any gym-forged attraction. Even the scandal had transformed into something positive. The Firefighters Family Foundation now included programs helping first responders identify and escape toxic relationships. Rod's story became a case study in handling betrayal with strategic precision rather than emotional reaction. The foundation's legal fund, initially created to help firefighters' families with medical bills, expanded to assist other husbands trapped in similar situations. Marshall's investigation had revealed a pattern of trainers targeting first responders' wives, taking advantage of long shifts and irregular schedules. "Chief," a young firefighter approached their group. "Sorry to interrupt, but we've got a situation developing downtown." Rod checked his phone, multiple units responding to a high-rise fire. Sophia squeezed his hand, understanding in her eyes. "Go," she said. "I'll handle things here." As he headed out with his team, Rod reflected on how different this scene would have played out a year ago. No angry texts about missed parties. No guilt trips about choosing duty over drama. Just the clean certainty of purpose he'd always felt in his work, now extended to every aspect of his life. Later that night, after the fire was contained and the victims saved, Rod found a moment of quiet on the apparatus floor. His phone showed a missed call from an Iowa number, Candace's latest attempt at contact. He deleted it without listening to the message. On his drive home, he passed the gym where it had all started. The building stood empty now, its reputation tainted by the scandal. A for-lease sign hung where Zach's promotional posters had once attracted vulnerable clients. Sophia waited up, her surgeon's understanding of emergency calls evident in the late-night coffee and comfortable silence. No demands, no accusations, just the steady support he'd never known he was missing. "Proud of you," she said simply. Rod looked at her, seeing their future in her quiet confidence. "Some fires," he replied, echoing his mother's wisdom, "light the way forward." In Iowa, Candace stared at her unanswered call log. The small gym's mirror reflected what she'd become: a cautionary tale, a whispered warning, a testament to karma's aim. She'd played with fire, believing herself fireproof. She'd learned too late. Every fire leaves ashes, but only the strongest rise from them. And Rod Conway had emerged stronger than ever, leaving her to sweep up the remnants of her burned-out dreams.
This is where our story comes to an end. Share your thoughts in the comment section. Thanks for your time. If you enjoy the story, please subscribe to this channel. Click on the video you see on the screen, and I will see you there.